addition to a lot of other things, I'm a writer who writes a lot of opinion pieces. I think that expressing our opinions is important. We have the opportunity to connect with people and let them know they aren't alone, and give people with an open mind the chance to see things in ways they might not have before. But we've got to be careful, because our communities, our states, our nation, our world asks more of us. And young people, our future leaders, are watching us. Take a look around social media, and what you'll see is a lot of stuff about the latest ridiculous, shocking thing somebody said. And then you'll see a lot of people investing a lot of time arguing about it. We have to be careful that being right doesn't become more important than doing the right thing. We have to avoid allowing sensationalism to take the place of service. We have to make sure we're not commenting ourselves into complacency. So we've got an election coming up here really soon, and it's an important one. I can't vote in this one because I'm not old enough. But I'm involved, because the things that are decided in this election are things that are going to affect me. So I've been working. My favorite thing that I've done this campaign season is registering voters. I've registered Democrats, Republicans, Independents, with all kinds of different opinions. And a lot of them have different opinions than me. But it's important that they all have a voice, a real voice, a way to participate in a real way. Something that's been especially important to me has been getting teenagers pre-registered to vote back home in my state of North Carolina. That's an opportunity that we lost, that was taken from us, that the federal courts stepped in and gave back to us. We're being bombarded, especially our young women are being bombarded with a lot of stuff. Just one example, someone put out an election map recently. What would happen if only men voted? And it went in favor of a particular candidate. So supporters of that candidate went on Twitter and started trending a hashtag, repeal the 19th. Yeah, they were talking about repealing the 19th Amendment that gives women the right to vote. And this was getting a lot of attention. And I did. I went online and I spoke out against this because it doesn't represent what our values are or should be as Americans. And the tweet I made got a bunch of favorites and retweets. But that same day, I had spent a couple hours doing voter registration, and I had registered a few voters. Each one of those voter registrations are worth more than every click, share, or like combined. This is what we need to get trending, not online, but in our communities, giving as many people as possible the opportunity to use their voices at the ballot. Americans don't look at their daughters, their sisters, their wives, their mothers, their friends in the eye in their home schools, churches, their workplaces, or in their neighborhoods and say, I really don't think you should have the right to vote. But this is what happens when we contribute to a culture where somebody saying the most outrageous thing gets people to make a greater investment of time and attention than doing outstanding acts of kindness and service. Where egregious displays of ignorance are given more airplay than extraordinary displays of intelligence. When arguing and acrimony drown out affability and allegiance that goes beyond what we pledge to a flag, to what we pledge to each other. What we need, to quote a guy from here in Mississippi, is a little less talk and a little more action. Traveling here to Mississippi makes me think of some other young people who traveled here back in 1964, including Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman. These two men joined with the local young man, James Chaney, to register voters, and their beaten bodies were found 6 weeks later. In our last midterm election, only around 36% of eligible voters turned out to the polls. Only around 21% of voters under 30 turned out. Our right to vote has come as a result of sacrifice and service of so many, yet so few are exercising it. And the way to address this is to spend less time trying to change people's minds about their political views and more time encouraging people, all people, to use their voices at the ballot. Let's spend less time online worrying about the trolls and more time in our communities getting people to the polls. One of the things we're hearing a lot about in the news lately is sexual assault. And a lot of people are saying all kinds of things about it. But regardless of what people might be saying, if you ask somebody, hey, there's this company giving jobs to women who have been victimized by the sex trade. They're making products out of recycled t-shirts. Do you have any t-shirts? Most people are gonna give you that t-shirt. And something as simple as sharing that t-shirt has the power to transform lives. In what way is sharing a picture of someone wearing a ridiculous t-shirt in social media going to change lives? Because it's not. You all here through your organization are making a difference in people's lives every day. And it's not just the people you're helping through your service projects. You're making a difference with the relationships you're building and the bonds you're forming in your clubs, across your districts, and globally. And most importantly, you're involving young people. You're giving young people the opportunity to serve. This is really important because when young people serve, they're more likely to vote, contact their representatives, and even run for public office. And when young women get opportunities to be leaders early on, they're more likely to go on to be leaders in organizations, in businesses, or even in government later on. A lot of people are worried right now about what they're seeing and hearing on TV and on social media. A lot of young people, including kids, don't feel safe and secure because of the things that they're seeing and hearing. Women of all ages are concerned because we know how hard the work has been for the progress we've made just over the lifetimes of our mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers. And so now, more than ever, we need to dedicate ourselves to showing each other a better way, not just with our words, but with our deeds. One of my passions is theater, and not long ago, I had the opportunity to play Margot in The Diary of Anne Frank. That story is one that's influenced me since I was a little girl. These people, they were all stuck together in that little annex under dire circumstances that came about as a result of some of the things we're talking about as far as current events today. And sometimes the situation Anne and the others were in brought out the worst in them too. But here's what Anne wrote in her diary in July of 1944. It's really a wonder that I haven't dropped all my ideals because they seem so absurd and impossible to carry out. Yet I keep them because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the sufferings of millions, and yet if I look up into the heavens, I think that it will all come right, that this cruelty too shall end, and that peace and tranquility will return again. Our people are good. As a whole together, we are good. Separately, we might have some issues sometimes, but the more we come together, the stronger we are. The longer we've traveled down the road of history together, the stronger we've become. And it's up to each of us to make sure this continues. It's through service to each other, to our country, to our world, that we will be stronger forever.